Hey, you guys, pull my mic down. Hey, you guys, welcome to my channel. If you are learning knitting with me on this channel, then tonight is your night because you are going to be learning tonight how to switch between the knit stitch and the purl stitch. So if you don't already have anything casted onto your needles, go ahead and cast on like maybe 10, and then I'm going to show you guys what you need to do. Now, this is really, really simple, but I want to tell you a story. When I was growing up, my grandmother taught me how to knit. The thing that she did not do was teach me how to go between knitting and purl. So I didn't understand that there was a process that I needed to follow in order to knit and then make a purl stitch. I wasn't aware of it. So I want to make sure that I teach you guys that now, because now, then you'll be able to do a really cool rib stitch like this, which is, great for hat bands and such. So I want to go ahead and have you guys prepare a needles now so that you can have a little practice with me while we're here. And any questions if somebody does come in here. I see I have one viewer right now, so if you guys have any questions, you can always put it in the chat box below, and I'll be able to, answer your questions live. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and cast on, and then join me here. All right, so what you see I have here so far is basically a hat band. I'm actually knitting in the round. Do not let this confuse you. If you're using straight needles, if you're using if you're going back and forth, that's fine. I'm just going to show you real quick how this is done. So let me get through here. I'm going to do the knits or the purl stitches here, and then I'm going to show you what you need to do. Okay. For knit stitching, you always have to have your yarn in the back. So your working yarn should always be behind your working needle here. Okay, so even if you're left-handed, it'll be back here like this. Okay, it'll always be in the back for knitting. If you are purling, you're always going to have your yarn in the front. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on, I'm going to do 2 knit stitches here. I'm going to do 1 knit and then another to continue on in the pattern of my rib stitching. And then in order to purl, I have to take my yarn and bring it between the 2 needles here like this and come forward with the yarn. And then I can go ahead and make my purl stitch, just like that. And then my other purl stitch I can make because my yarn's already in the front. Now what happens if I do, see if I do knitting, I need to go in the back. What happens if I decide to do a knit stitch and then I want to do 1 purl stitch? I have to bring the yarn forward and then make my purl stitch. Okay, if I want to let's see, if I want to make a knit stitch, if I've purled, you know what, let's finish this knit stitch here, and then we'll purl here. Let me finish the purls. I got 2 here to do, and then I'll show you what to do with the knitting. So I'm going to finish the second purl, and then this is going to go in the back, and then we'll continue knitting. Okay, so that's basically all there is to it, you guys. I hope that you'll really practice this. If you're learning how to knit with me, this is a very basic technique. It's something that you learn at the very beginning. That's why I'm taking you through it now. And honestly, it's very simple. Once you learn how to do the knit and the purl stitch, it's not going to be difficult at all. So that's pretty much all I have for you right now. What I'd like to see you guys do is basically just have your, your cast on, work it, and then, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have problems with tension, remember that your tension is always in your strand of yarn. It's not in the needles. So if you're making here I'm making a purl stitch, and my finger here is holding this yarn up so that it's not slack. I don't want it slack because then it'll make a loose stitch. I'm going to come around here and I'm going to keep my finger holding this part of the yarn here taut. And then that way I can take that loop and pull it off. Okay. And then this is going to be my working finger here. If you are doing English knitting, which is holding it like this, it's the same concept. You're going to use these two fingers and you're going to keep the yarn in this area taut, not pull it tight, just keep it straight. Don't let it slack. Just keep it straight. That way your stitches are never going to be loose. So now we're going to go back here and I'll show you English. So here is the English style. You bring the yarn around and your hand kind of holds on to here, all the while your yarn is being held and made sure not to slack. And then you make another knit and then you pull that off, keeping the yarn from being slack. Let's see. Also, another thing for crocheters, I'm going to do another video completely on this, but I want to show you something else too. You know how when you hold your yarn in the hand opposite of your hook? So if you're left-handed, you'll be doing this with your right hand. When you hold your yarn like this to crochet, it's the same thing for continental knitting. This is continental knitting. When you hold the yarn over here in the hand where you're so opposite of your working needle, we'll just say it that way. So I make sure I get right-handers and left-handers in this whole thing. So when I'm purling, this finger is going to be doing the work here. And I'm going to grab that yarn and pull it off. But here's where my tension is, just like in crocheting. And I'm not doing this to confuse you guys. It's probably just something that would be nice for you to see. Especially if you're crocheters and you're like, I can't get this knitting thing. This is a really good way to practice. You know, it's a good thing. Continental knitting is kind of like, it's almost like a no-brainer for, for new knitters who are also crocheters and who started out crocheting. I think continental knitting can sometimes be a little easier. So holding your yarn here, you grab the yarn, use your finger here to hold the loop back here, the back of the loop that's on your needle. Go up underneath that leg and scoop the yarn up behind it. So this, let's try that again. Okay. Hold the loop and then you get your yarn from behind and you pull it through, keeping this taut, pulling that loop right off. Okay, so that's how that's done, and it can make you knit a whole lot faster. But anyway, that's basically all I wanted to show you guys today, was really how to do the the knit and then the purl stitch. And as you can see here, I'm knitting in the round. I will show you guys also how to knit in the round, how to cast on in the round, and you'll need to get some corded knitting needles. So you'll have to get 16-inch needles. That way, like if you wanted to make a hat in the round, then you will have what you need to do that. This is actually going to probably wind up being a hat in the long run, as one of my projects for 2020. And I think that I'll probably make this up, come up with a pattern for the body of the hat, and then write it up and then teach how to do this as one of the knitting projects. The reason I chose hats, first of all, hats are very, very popular right now. Second of all, they're a very easy, very quick project to make. And for those people who don't like to sit and work on the same project for hours and hours and hours, this gives you kind of that relief. You can make something quickly and, and be done and move on to something else. So that's why I'm starting out with smaller projects with you guys. I'm hoping one of these days to do amigurumi. It's very possible that I may be doing that one day. I don't know. I've actually never tackled that type of a project before, so I guess we'll have to see. Maybe in 2021, because I have a lot of stuff to teach in 2020. So anyway, y'all, go ahead and go practice this technique and let me know how you're doing. I'm here to teach. I'm here to show you guys what you need to know. If you have any questions, you can always leave questions in the comment section. If you don't want to leave comments, you can also email me at fibertheory@yahoo.com. And also, guys, you can follow me. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at fiber_theory. And you can see all of the new pictures and things, all the projects that are coming up. I always post there first. And anyway, y'all, I hope to see you in the next video come this week. Until then, I wish you guys the very best weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.